All right. So it has been a while since my last video, and there's a reason for that. About a month ago, I just went through back surgery, and so I was out of it for a few weeks. And this is the fifth week, I guess, and I'm up and around finally. And I still can't pick up anything from 5 to 10 pounds. I can't. It's a pain. You can see this back brace I'm wearing all the way around, and but it's not going to stop me from doing my design work, and it's not a whole lot of heavy lifting with these 3D printed parts and stuff. So I'm still at it. I'm just a little slower, physically, not mentally, and but. So my last video, it was I had done this. I'm calling it a lid extension or a riser. Everybody's saying a riser for it, and you can see them back here. I have them on the P1S. This P1S, which was actually a P1P that I converted, and then the X1 carbon. You can see it has them all on there, and you can really tell a difference. I really like the LED lights on them. This one has a separate control on it. The X1 carbon was a little different. Well, let me back up. With this one, the P1S, I've been waiting for. I'm going to do a BL. What is it? The BL LED controller. Have you heard of that? You can connect it to, I guess, the P1S or any of them, but it takes a 24 volt power supply, and you put 24 volt LEDs, and it has a separate controller so that whenever it's reacting, if it's lit up, it's white. If it gives you an error message, well, the lights turn red. When it's through printing, it'll turn green, so you can glance at it and see. It's pretty cool. I might do that on this one here before I put lights on, and show you how that works. In the meantime, I wanted to look at this X1 carbon because it does not have the USB output that these P1 series do. The USB output that's behind here, behind the frame, behind your controller, and that's where I have this, where the LED is hooked up on this. Yeah, and this one I'm going to be hooking up that BL LED controller. Well, I'll back up on that. I'm still thinking about it. But the X1 carbon, it does not have the USB output on it, so it has to have an external power source, right? Now, I was always thinking about tapping in to one of the input outputs on the AMS and get an identical connector, plug it in, and just tap off of the voltage that's coming off of that. And if I'm not sure if it's 12 or 20 volt or 24 volt going to the AMS. But the other way is to go ahead and get the LEDs, run them around, and have an external power source. Whether if you decide to go USB, well, just have a USB going out the back and plug it in, right? I guess with a separate on and off switch, so you can turn it on and off when you want it. You can have it remote controlled if you want it, or go the 24 volt with that BL LED controller, and that way it's more automated, and it'll change the colors and stuff. I think they're pretty cool, so I might have to do that one of these days. But in the meantime, I'm rambling here, but in the meantime, I'm looking at redoing this lid extension and make it a little more design focused on the X1 series, right? Just so that we'll have a cable egress on the back. I think the first one I'm going to do is going to be, I guess, the base unit, and it's going to be a little more modular. There's a few changes, but well, let me step through you step by step instead of me just rambling on, right?
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it. Get on with it.
So here we go. So you can see the very first design change I did. This was the old design, and I just had 4 corners, right? But with the radius on this back end and having to print it up this way, or I could have tried this way, but there would have been a lot of need for support, right? And just kind of unsightly. Luckily it was in the back of the unit, so you just don't see it, but that's not the way I wanted it, right? I mean, my basic functions were there, and it turned out pretty good design wise. But the first thing I did, I changed the design so you can see I cut the corners, and now I have a midsection that goes along with it all the way around. And I did that so we can print it upright, and you can see the radius turned out much nicer. And I just got this off the printer, and I printed this. This is using ASA, and you can see it turned out really well. There's one, that's kind of rough there, but still turned out pretty good. So you can see they're labeled, and you can see I added this top section on it. You see that? And this was to give it a little more strength on the top, so that, because you figure this is going to be on one of the X1s, the lid's going to be on it, and most likely, you know, who knows, 8 out of 10 are going to have an AMS on it sitting on top. So I wanted it to be able to handle it, make sure that it's going to handle the weight. And these 2 inserts that match with the sides, that vertical part adds to the stiffness of it, and you can tell. I mean, it's pretty sturdy. Well, let me show you the CAD work I did. All right, so if you just look over my shoulder here, can you see all that? You can see I've got this stuff. You can hear the printers going on in the background there. I'm trying to get this stuff printed off. This one I actually have going on the X1 carbon, and you can see the corner pieces that I separated out so that we can get a good radius on these. And you can tell you can see it's just minimal support on these, and it's going. You can see down here, this one I have printed off on the P1S, and my P1 series stuff, I have them on LAN only, right? The X1 carbon I go through the cloud, but all my P1s, one of them that I use for production pieces, I'll probably have a couple of them running production pieces, and a third one just for odds and ends, whatever. But for some reason on mine, the camera works in LAN only mode. I've heard some guys comment that you know, the camera is disabled or doesn't work. And I remember at one point when I very first got this that the camera didn't work, and the Handy app doesn't work. Well, I'm still left without the Handy cam, you know, the Handy app on this, but for some reason my my camera works. Maybe that was, you know, one of the firmware updates or something that came through. But anyway, okay, well, let's take a look at some design points here. So let's take a look. What did I leave off here? I left off, I was talking about this rear corner here, right? Well, let's go ahead and open up. Well, let's get rid of this so you can have a better view. Let's open this up. So some of the basic design changes I made. This one, you can see where I added this feature along the top edge, and I did this for give it a little more stability. If you figure that if this one's on a P1, on an X1, I mean, it has the lid and probably an AMS on top of it. I wanted this to be able to handle the load without it, you know, any stress here in the middle portion of it, because it's fairly thin. I mean, the top here is, I guess, 60 thousandths, and the main wall of it is 78 thousandths, I believe. But given, you know, this addition to it, plus these tabs that get inserted to the sides, that gives it some stability here on the ends. And this was fairly easy. You can see I just did a sweep, and so I picked the profile, I sketched the profile here, and followed this path. Basically, it's like this path here along the top edge. Well, I just used the path on the bottom edge, and boom, it went right around, no problem. And you can see on this profile, I added this that diameter to give it like a tube effect going through. Because if I hollowed this out using, say, a shell like that, well, I'd be left with a flat top edge on the top, and it would need support. And I did not want to do that. I was trying to make this to give the least amount of support as possible. So putting the diameter through and hollowing it out that way, yeah, it doesn't need support on it. So that was pretty effective. And then I ended up using it for like a guide pin for the sides. And let me open that up. We can take a quick look. Yeah, so there's the like, it's almost like a pilot hole. You can see where the tab gets inserted here. And on this section, it's solid for about a ½ inch in, and then the rest of it's still hollow, just like on the other piece. What else? You can see everything's labeled. There's the rear left, the rear right. There's the right side, there's the front right corner, the front side, the front left corner, and the left side. And I did that because basically after I did these corners, the sides here, they're identical, right? You can swap them around if you want. But in the future, I made a modular like this because in the future I'm going to be adding some stuff. You can see the rear. This is the only one that's different from the others so far. I put this radius or this diameter hole through it for cable egress. If you're going to use, what is it, like the BL LED controller, which I'm dying to get my hands on one. It mounts here on the back with a 24 volt power supply going to it. It's external, of course. And then you have your cable egress here where you can, you know, fish in your cables to go to the LED strip. And I think it would be kind of cool because it hooks up in so that if everything's printing normal, it's just a plain white light. If something goes wrong and it gives you a message through your app or whatever, well, it reads it and it turns the LEDs red. And say if it finishes printing, then the lights will turn green, so you can glance at it and see which one's, you know, what it's doing. That would be kind of cool. But I kind of try to make this as generic as possible so far. This is like a base unit, right? And it's modular. So now even if I wanted to add some vents to this one, I can add them to these side pieces, and then you can come back and just download the side pieces without having to print off the rest of everything else. You know, it's you can just pop them right in. Same with the front. If you decide to use a like an LED strip that has the controller on the front, just like I did my first version on the P1s, you can do it on this one too, right? What else? Yeah, I still have these same provisions for cable ties, wire ties, and I like this. I like that feature because it's, if you're going to run some other cables through here, or depending on what LED strips you use, at least you have these provisions all the way around where you can wire tie everything and keep everything secure. What else? You can see I added ribs here, these ribs, and then the center one, and that's to give it a little more stability. Here on the, in this center portion, you can tell you could squeeze it and bend the piece and potentially break it. So I added these little ribs for a little extra strength. And I think that is about it. I just wanted to bring those main design points and just show you what I was going through while I was trying to redesign this. And I'm going to release this version right here, and it's going to be the base modular version for everything else that's going to come on at a later date. Well, let's see, did I cover everything? I think so. That was about the only difference, and then the only I guess the only unique thing was that sweep going through, which turned out really well. And what else? I think that's about it. No, I'm not going to save it. I didn't change anything, did I? Okay, well, that's it. Alright, well, there's I'm going to finish printing off these parts, and I should be able to assemble it and show you the results. Yeah, I sure wish the P1 series had the same camera as the X1s. I mean, it's such a noticeable difference, and I can see where the argument is where, well, at least you can see the progress of the piece. The piece is not moving, right? So you can see if it's all screwed up or if everything's doing fine. It's just, it's so choppy, but you can still see the part, right? That's mainly what you're looking for. I mean, but that's argumentative. It's kind of more aggravating just watching it choppy like that when you're comparing it to an X1. The X1 just seems to just do so much better. Well, there they go. You can see such a huge difference, right? Sure, you can see everything. I'm sure my camera's adjusting for brightness right now, but if you compare the two, you see how much brighter this is. It's I think it's worth the upgrade. And that one's idle right now. Yeah, so you can see my printer farm is growing. There's the X1, a couple of P1S's. I have another one, should be here next week. And we just got this A1 Mini. It's a nice little machine. I mean, it's so small. I was thinking, do I really want that? But man, it really prints really well. And you can see there's the the AMS light along with it, but it really prints really well. Yeah, my other printers are laying here collecting dust. I sold off 4 of these, a couple of Ender 3s. What else? I had an Anycubic, and I had a C10. Is it the Creality C10? I sold that one off too. I figured I'd keep these, but man, they're not doing anything these days. All right, so I'll let these finish printing off. I'll get everything in here, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, it's the next day. Everything is printed off, and I put it all together. But let's take a closer look, because it's I'm finding out it's harder with the more breaks on it, to align everything up, and I can see some gaps everywhere, but it does fit, and everything else turned out pretty good. You can see at least it all fit together, and all my features are on it, and including, here's the plugged up access hole there. So this is the rear, but let's take a close look at it. Well, there she blows. You're looking at the rear, and there's the front, and it all put together pretty well. I'm just kind of surprised that you can really see so much gap, between these. And I'll check, maybe it's just a radius clearance or something that I'm overlooking. But it fits on the unit. It pops right on, so it's really no problem. But it's just aesthetics, right? And when you take a look, they look to be different color, different finishes on them, because the sides are printed face down, and then the corners are on the edge like that. And it really makes a difference. Of course, I did this in ASA, and they turned out great, so it should last a long time. But if you're really looking for aesthetics and everything, sometimes I use PLA carbon fiber, and it gives it a really nice matte finish to it, and it's a little more consistent. I guess that's it. You can see everything turned out pretty good. So they just insert right in. And all the features turned out good. The lettering here. One of them, I saw a lot of ghosting on one of the letterings. And not too bad, but it was there. And you see I have this together, and I did not use any hardware yet. Because once it's in there in the slot, then it's not going to move. But just to make things safer, I probably will put some M3 screws all the way around. And so after this will be available, and I'm going to try a couple of different LED setups, so I can cover that in the next video, I suppose, because here's some of the stuff that I cut off one of my other projects on that first one. But you can see how, let's see, this one, yeah, it's still kind of sticky. I'll show you how it fits on there. Yeah, so there's the strip, and you see it's on this underside of that 45-degree angle. So when you're looking at it, you can see it's slightly pointing down. But that's basically what it's going to look like. And then you feed your cables through here. And the reason I'm waiting, because I might go with what is it, the BL LED controller, and so I'll do that separately so that I can, you know, spend some time and show you how to put it together and program it and all that good stuff. But at least your base will be here. And this one, remember to put your foam weather stripping around. And that's what I'm going to do with this, and it should, yeah, fits on there perfect. So I'll put this weather stripping on, and then we'll put it on top of the X1 and show how it looks. All right, this should just pop right on. Oh, wrong way around. There it went. No problem. Yeah, it feels like it's a little oblong, doesn't it? But let's put AMS back on. Okay, so it fit no problem. This, the only reason I was going to color code it, you know, and make it, try to get as close to this gray as I could. But the only stuff I had at the moment, I know I wouldn't have been able to finish it. Where is it? Yeah, I had some of this stuff. See, it's still a little off. Way off from that one. Although it wouldn't look bad. This one's atomic, a silver metallic, and this one's Duramic, PLA plus. And I just didn't have a whole lot of it. I didn't think I'd be able to finish off but yeah, it'd be nice to color code it, or with this I might take it off and shoot a coat of matte black paint on it, you know, just to make it look a little better. But that's it. It fit pretty well. It should serve its purpose once we get the lights in. All right, I guess that is it for this video. I'm going to have this this version of it, the base model. I'll have it up on Maker World, and at least that, and probably printables. I, you know, try to do both, but you'll find it there. And then as time goes by, or as I get requests or anything, then I can start modifying these side panels, and you know, for vents or, you know, whatever. Up here for, you know, the controller for the LEDs on the front, or I was even thinking, let's see. Yeah, so if I put something like that that has the temperature and hygrometer on it, that'd be kind of cool to mount it here on the front, which I might do on mine. And just to compare the heat and the humidity compared to what's shown on Studio, you know. But well, okay, well, that's it. Find this on Maker's World and take a look at it. And as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and watch for my next video.